Hello everyone, my name is Isabella and I would like to share with you my approach and strategy for growing Brazilian rain tree that I got as a small nursery seedling. When it comes to growing bonsai, there is a lot of information and approaches available. When I got my Brazilian rain tree, I was confused about how to take care of it and what is correct for me as a bonsai grower. I'd like to share with you what I decided is a course of action for the tree and why, as well as some interview material with Nigel Saunders from the Bonsai Zone, who helped me clarify what to do. The best course of action for me is to learn patience and let the tree develop slowly. I came to this conclusion after talking to Nigel, who helped me understand why it is better to be patient and slowly grow my tree.
So I find that my best trees are the ones that start off really small in a small pot, and then every year they've grown a little bigger, and by the time they are like a medium to a large sized tree, they have the old bark on them, the old character, all the pruning scars, and they're the best trees ever. And a lot of bonsai people say that the best bonsai trees are ones that have been slowly grown in a pot over many, many years. If you take a small tree and you rapidly grow it, it gets to a big size, but you get the immature bark on it. The structure is generally a little coarser. It takes, again, the same amount of time to refine it and get the bark texture on it. But so in the end, you end up with almost the same kind of tree, but I think the ones that are slowly grown have more character and they're more precise, and they just maybe makes a better bonsai.
Yeah, great. And if we look at the structure of the cellular structure of the fibers of the wood, would that also be a difference in growth?
I think in the bark. I think
it's mostly in the bark.
There's a difference between rapidly grown bark and bark that's been grown slowly. And if you grow bark, if a tree is grown really slowly, it comes old, the little plates of the bark on it are very miniature because it doesn't suddenly split the bark. It's grown slowly. Whereas a tree that's quickly and rapidly grown, the bark is very coarse and not miniature looking, and it takes decades to get it to eventually break up and get into small plates. So yeah, there's many ways to achieve your end vision, but I think generally slowly growing a tree is the best technique.
Okay, thank you.
It's not only about the bark, but also about the branch ramification and overall feeling of a tree. Next, I wasn't sure how to go about developing the branch structure as the tree keeps on growing all season, and it seems that most growth happens at the top of it. So right here, those branches get strong very fast, and then they block the light to the lower branches. So how can I deal with this? Here's what Nigel said about it.
Ideally, you'd probably want to prune it here, and that'll give light to these lower branches, and then grow it out with equal vigor. In nature, these develop huge kind of umbrella-shaped canopies, multi-branches coming up, and they weep down. Because these branches will weep as they grow longer and longer. They'll start weeping, just to grow it more evenly and keep it balanced. And then every year it'll get a little larger until you get it to the size you want.
So the trunk will still thicken, but slower.
Yeah, a little slower than if you just let it grow wild. But you'll also get a better branch structure. Keep all those fine branches. You'll keep it denser too.
I see.
If you just let it grow, you get long shoots that'll look like arms reaching out.
Yeah.
So.
And then ugly cuts.
Yeah, and hard pruning then. Yeah. So yeah, ideally, if you want to grow it thick, you let it grow for the summer, then cut it back hard, and you'll get all new sub branches growing on it.
Okay, I see. So you think you would still grow it all the summer and then cut it? Not cut it now.
I would cut this just before you put it out
before
the summer.
Oh, I see.
And then it'll develop new buds in here.
Cool.
Yeah, just to balance it a bit, because these are getting really vigorous. And, yeah, you probably
probably lose these lower branches if you just let these top ones keep growing.
You can see they're already dying off.
Yeah, there's some
yellowing.
leaves are going a bit yellowy there. Yeah, you just got to make sure each branch gets light.
I see.
Look from above and make sure they all have equal amount of light. That there's not branches overshading the lower ones.
The tree also has some thorns, which some people cut off. There's thorns on each nodule. There's actually 2 thorns, it seems, that grow on most nodules. Do you keep the needles on your trees?
I
Because I
do.
know some people cut them off.
I do. I don't know. It's certainly safer to cut them off, but I just figure it's a feature of the tree to have the thorns. It's like you're cutting off a feature of the tree.
Yeah.
But I think if you're careful, I don't know, maybe as it gets denser, it gets really hard to prune, but I haven't had a problem. I keep the thorns on my acacia trees, and you just have to be very careful when you're pruning them that you don't get poked by your thorns.
It's a good practice.
They do hurt.
They do hurt.
Yeah.
You can be mindful when you do it.
Yeah, you gotta
Not
just
rush.
be careful. Yeah, don't reach in.
It's almost like, you know, some of the practices and the ninjas were practicing, and like you have to be careful of how you move your body. They would put like spiky objects, so you can treat it as a ninja training.
Exactly. You just have to be aware of where you put your hands.
I decided to grow it in the bonsai soil because it is one of the few trees that actually develops a nice trunk growing slowly in a bonsai pot with the bonsai soil. In southern Ontario, where I live, the tree can be out in the summer for about 3 months, and in this time, this is how much it grew. After the summer, when night temperatures dropped below 10 degrees, I moved the tree back indoors, where I put it in my south-facing window in my sunroom. That's where it's gonna stay until the next spring, or actually probably June. Cool thing about it is that the tree, when it's unhappy with whatever it is, whether it's temperature, light, or being cut, when the branches are being trimmed or roots are being trimmed, the tree shows the dissatisfaction, or it just shows that it's not optimally happy right at the moment by curling down the leaves and kind of, you know, looking sulking. Well, at first I was a little bit intimidated by it, and I didn't want the tree to be upset. So I was worried that, you know, trimming it, repotting it is going to cause it to show me how unhappy it is. But then I've learned that it's actually a blessing to be able to see it. Other trees might not show it, but that does not mean that they are not experiencing the difficulty of those actions. It just means that they might not show it in such a visible way. But Brazilian rain tree is very communicative in that way, so I'm enjoying this ability to see it more clearly. Overall, I would recommend this tree for a beginner like me, who's just learning, because of how easy it is to read the tree. It will literally show you by curling the leaves if you're doing something incorrectly, and then you can re-examine what is missing. Is it not enough water, too much water? Maybe the temperature or the light requirements are not what the tree likes, so you can then move it and change those conditions to see how the tree responds. At the end, when the tree is thriving and happily extends the leaves, it just brings me so much joy and a satisfaction knowing that I am providing it with the best care I can. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.